My good friend Ray Prince really is Langford's artist on two wheels.
I like restoring them and I like riding them.
His medium, metal and chrome. When you look at a Harley Davidson motorcycle frame, is like the picture frame, and the engine sticks out. That is the subject. Ray's garage is his gallery, a collection of relics nearly lost to rust and time. It strikes a chord inside you. To me, it's like a piece of rolling art.
Rock a little bit.
He spent nearly 50 years around ships, but even the Navy couldn't keep this craftsman away from his lifelong obsession.
We'd be going on deployments in the spring. We'd go to the Caribbean for about 3-4 months. Is that gonna work? I'd take 1 or 2 frames on there and do all the body work and everything on them, so when I got back, I was ready to roll. So. And then this would go on here.
Ray's retired now. His garage, his folk soul.
Keeps me entertained and busy through the winter. I'll leave her back.
His latest creation, my 1929 Harley Davidson 350 Peashooter.
3-speed, right, Ray?
Very much a blank canvas. The single-cylinder 3-speed, named for the popping sounds the exhaust makes, sits in stark contrast to Ray's gleaming picture of perfection, his 1923 Harley. A long-retired City of Victoria police bike, wearing its original Harley colors. One of Ray's many love affairs with nostalgia.
It took me about 5 years to restore the bike and another year to restore the sidecar.
2 years longer than Michelangelo's ceiling restoration, I might add.
Okay, they're going to be able to save this.
I was a teenage mechanic when I first laid eyes on this 350 at a friend's house.
I'd never seen one of these, and I marveled at it. It was all apart. Pretty little motor, isn't it?
Yeah.
I asked if he would sell it to me, and he said no. Here it is 40 years later. My phone rings, and now I own it.
Next thing you know, I'm sitting there admiring my pile of rust, which was once a gleaming 350 single.
One of roughly 100 left in the world.
You got a lot of work ahead of you.
Ray and I went to work. But replacement parts are tough to find, and the transmission was trashed. But fate would smile again.
40 years ago, I look at this bike, and I end up getting it. 35 years ago, a guy leaves the transmission that fits that bike on my bench.
Unearthed by a fellow biker and avid gardener.
He was digging away with a shovel, clank, he hits this thing, and he thinks it's a boulder, and he digs down, and here it is, a transmission.
He had no idea how it got there, and no other parts were found.
Just a transmission buried in a guy's garden? Kind of weird.
But I thought one day I'm going to have a use for this. That day finally came.
And you still had all the dirt in it. You could at least power wash it, Steve, or hosed it off.
We took it all apart.
The oil was still in there. There was no rust.
All the gears are good.
And the case was good.
And now we've restored it, and it's in that bike.
You broke it.
Working with Ray is a real privilege.
There we go.
Watching the subject slowly taking shape. A work of art. But this artist's hands aren't always steady anymore.
Soldering's the worst, I think. You're trying to...
5 years ago, Parkinson's disease began robbing him of a gift rarer than the bikes themselves. Time. Still, he pushes on.
I was right-handed. I just become left-handed.
Doing what he loves.
Eventually, it's going to disable me.
Attitude guides his hands now.
You got to get the best out of every day. I get frustrated, and all of a sudden I'll stop, and I'll just regroup, and I'll say, Ray, you can do it, and I do it.
Back then, this was the mechanical leading edge. Like, to have a motorcycle like this, man, everybody on your block would be envious.
So when you turn the throttle, it turns...
If you don't have guys like Ray Prince restoring them, the stuff will get forgotten about.
But not this pea shooter, and not this artist, whose life is preserved in his work. When it's done,
I hope to ride with him beside his 23.
2 relics on old Harleys, sharing the gift of time.